Hi, this is James from Tabletop Gaming Guild, and today we're going to take an early look at Territory. Territory is a 2 to 4 player game, depending on the mode you're playing, but most of the time 2-player game, where you're going to have customizable decks and you're going to face off against each other and try to be the first to 18 points. There's going to be cool heroes that you can be, cool realms that you can put out, or territories, sorry, and cool relics that can boost and do all sorts of fun, neat interactions. This game has tons and tons of abilities that can be employed, tons and tons of static effects, lots of really cool things. This game reminds me of like the player interactions and stuff that you get with Magic the Gathering. Has a simplified sort of way of dealing with resources, which is going to be the territory food values, so however many heroes you can put out for that, up to 3 in one area, and you have up to 3 areas. So let's go ahead down to the table here. I'm going to give you a general idea how to play the game, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to give you my final thoughts. All right, so we're going to look at Territory. Now, this is an early release copy of it, so there's some stuff that could be subject to change, but I did get this super cool box here with a ton of cards in it. In this, you're going to get these 2 mats here. It comes with 2 decks that you can create from the back of, I believe it's the back of this book. Let's see, where's it the other one? Let's see. Oh, it's this one. So I made the sample deck here, and I made the sample underling deck from the cards that are in here. There's still a ton of extra cards, so you can deck build in here. I believe you can only have up to 3 of one copy. You're going to have up to, you should need at least 5 territories. And the only restriction here is, I don't know if I have an epic in here. Yeah, so you can only have 1 epic, which you can see with this red border, or red filled in here. In the game of Territory, you're trying to get 18 points. You will be doing this by destroying your opponent's territories, relics, or heroes. There's going to be several things that you're going to look at in this game. One of them is these are your territories. So you're going to pick 5 of these territories to start, and a territory itself has this little symbol here showing it's a territory. Here's its health, and here's its defense, and here's its passive ability that occurs with any heroes or whatever that's in the area that this belongs in. So the first one you place will be here, any of the heroes in here. This is the amount of points that you're going to get for the opponent's going to get for defeating it. 4. I believe all of them are 4. I might be wrong. It is a CCG, so there could be some more or less. And this is how much food that it supports. So basically, this is the amount or size of troops that this area supports. As time goes by, this will increase. I'll show you in a little bit. So it starts with 2 food, then 3 food, then 5 food. Other cards that are in the game. So these are going to be your character cards, heroes, that you could place in these zones here if they meet the food requirements that are in the area and not exceed them. This is going to be the character's health. This is going to be its armor. This is the symbol showing it's a hero. This is the amount of food that it requires. And this food's just means you just don't have more than the total of your territory that you're in, or one that you move into, combined for all of the heroes that are there. This is some of the abilities. This one has Cursed. Each opponent discards 2 cards at random. This one here is going to be its fighting, which gets added to the dice that we roll here. And this is its movement. So if one's here, this is a movement of 1, it can move here or here. If it's over here, it can move here. If it has a movement of 2, it can move all the way across. And this is the amount of points that an opponent would get for defeating this. There's also spells. So let's go see. So there's several types of spells. Some spells, like this one here, these purple ones here, they just do their thing and they go away. And this is how much spell power it costs. This one here is going to be a trap card. So trap cards, they have the cost here, but you're going to put them wherever they're supposed to go. And then if something happens, normally under a territory, you'll flip it up and resolve its effect. This card here is your spell lore. So this is one that will attach to a territory. Some will attach to characters. When that territory or character goes, these goes with it. They'll just buff them in some sort of way. Okay, so then how do you play? Well, you're going to start out by creating your deck and then of 70 cards, and then you're going to draw 10 cards. And you could use the preset decks, which I did on there too. And you're going to look at your 10 cards. You can discard any number of these cards you want. And whatever number you discard, you can put on the bottom of this deck and draw back up to 10. So you're going to have 10 to start the game. Once you have that, you're also going to select your first territory. So I'll go ahead and select a territory. And I'll say this one. I'll put my territory here. The opponent will do the same. This game is played in turns and has multiple phases that need to be resolved. All right, so this is how we're going to run the game. So the first thing you do is going to draw a card. So this is going to be your beginning turn phase. So you're going to draw a card and put it in your deck. You can't have more than 12 cards in your deck at any time. If you have more than 12 cards in your deck, you have to discard down. You can gain 2 spell points. So that are going to go here. So 2 spell points. These are double-sided. So here's a single, because I'm probably going to be spending them, although you can let them go over time. But I got 2 spell points. I can add relic counters to any relics. So, I did forget to show you a relic. Relics go in either of these 2 locations, and a relic is just like sort of a buff that you can use to, like this one right here, to help with people at the territories or whatever it does. This is going to be the health that it has. This is the symbol that shows it's a relic, and this is its armor. Once this is destroyed, this is the amount of points that the opponent would get. All right, so these are how the turn phases go. We're going to wind back a little bit because these territories won't be out yet. What we're going to do is we're going to do things in phases. You have the beginning phase. You're going to draw a card. You're going to get 2 spell things. Tokens that you can spend. Put this die on turn 1. Each player would move up a territory, but we don't have a territory yet. So now I'm going to play a territory from my deck that I get to choose. So that doesn't get moved up the first turn, so that means it has 2 food available. Once we get to turn 3, this will be all the way up, meaning it'll have 6 food available. We're going to flip a new card. But for now, we're going to just put out that territory. Then we're going to do the activation phase. We can do anything in order there. We can sacrifice champions. If you sacrifice a champion because you need room to put out another champion, the opponent gets those points. If you sacrifice an artifact because you need room, you can only have 2 artifacts out, the opponent gets those points. So you need to do that very, very carefully. You can play your spells if you want. You can move your non-fatigued characters to different locations, and you can sacrifice relics. So we're going to be able to play all these things, and then we can go into the combat phase. Okay, so what does this look like? So I can look at my hand. I can play these spells. Like if I do play this spell right here, it's going to cost 1 spell power. It's going to say discard 2 cards, search your deck for up to 2 champions, reveal them, and put them into your hand and shuffle your deck afterwards. This is a cool card to have in the future. This one here costs 1 spell. It says you may look at your opponent's hand or discard pile and choose a card from it. That opponent must shuffle that card back into their deck, or you may discard a card to put that card into your hand instead. So that's also really cool. There's a relic that I could play. This relic would say discard. When I discard this one, return a card from your discard pile to your hand. So this is the underling deck. I'm really into recycling my cards. But when I do that, the opponent will get 2 points. So I have to keep that in mind. It also has 8 health and 1 armor. If I wanted to play this, I would just put it down in the relic area, and now it's available. Other spells on here, spell lore territory. I can put this on the territory. All champions that occupy this territory have +1 attack power. So that's super useful, but it costs 2 spell powers. I need to keep that in mind. I could play this discovery card. Search your deck for any card, reveal it, and put it into your hand. Shuffle your deck afterwards. Discard a card. All right, so here's some champions that I can put out. So this one here requires 3 food. I only have 2 food available in this area, so I can't play this card. But he's pretty powerful. Here's another 4 food one. Here's a 1 food one that I could put out. And another 1 food one I could put out. So these ones here has coalesce all pack champions that occupy the same territory as this champion have poison 1. So that's really powerful. In the back of the book here, there is a description of all the special effects that you can have. Coalesce, the champion, has +2 attack power. So if I could play both of these, they would fit in this, because it combined food of 2, I have a total available of 2. They'll come down on this red line here to show that they have just been put out and they can't really do anything. So that would be my turn. My opponent would put down cards. It would come back to me. And so let's do an example here. So that's their territory. They say they have a relic here. Let's get a champion out. Let's say this is a 1 food champion. It's back to me. These will go up. I will move the turn marker up. This will come up. I'll draw my card, all that fun stuff. I will get 2 more spell tokens that I can spend. Need to make sure I don't have more than 12 cards. Now we're getting into the cool stuff. So these guys are free and available to do things. They can move to different territories. Again, you can take a look at the movement value there to see how they move. This territory can now have for food, so I can put some more people out. No more than 3 champions per area, so I can put 1 more out. But you know, I do have 2 more food, so that will support a champion of 2 food. So I could put this one out of here if I wanted to. No more than 3 champions in an area, so this area is full. I'm going to need to wait until I get another area to get more champions out. But I can attack with these 2. So if I attack with these 1, 2 here, I would take a look at the attack value. So the one's 0. I would just say what I'm attacking. I'm going to attack this territory here, and I would roll the die. So I got 3 damage. So this place would take, minus its armor, if it took it, it would take 1 damage, because 3 minus 2 is 1. So I would put a damage counter on it like this, if I did that. The other thing the opponent can do is, if they wanted to, they can block with their character instead. If they blocked with their character instead, their character would take 3 damage because they have 0 shield. So they want to protect these, because if this territory is destroyed, meaning put down your discard, I would get these 4 points. And on the opponent's next turn, they would place another territory out to the same level in that area. And that would be another territory that I could take. So you can see where attacking these territories is going to be the main way you're going to get points. Discarding cards or sacrificing them on your turn can yield up to 1 to 2 points per thing. And remember, when you hit 18, that person, whoever it is, wins. And the game's immediately over. So that's basically how combat works. Combat's pretty simple, easy to teach, and nice. How the units deploy is also easy to teach, because it's going to be simply these. I like the addition of this turn counter on here, because this really helps out. Once I get to the 3rd one here, this will be all the way up. I would also pick a new territory and place it down at the low level. This would be at 2. One thing to keep in mind in this game is also to remember the abilities in your territories, abilities in your opponent's territories, and the artifacts that might augment things when you're defending or attacking. Also, don't forget, you can destroy artifacts. So again, artifacts have a health and they have an armor. So you may want to get rid of these guys to try to help out and prevent your opponent from winning at least as easily. So that, in a very quick nutshell, is the game Territory. There is a multiplayer format where you can play with up to 4 players. I believe it's up to 4, but you can play with more than 2. There's also a King in the Hell mode and all sorts of fun stuff. But this is the way I liked it the most. So let's go ahead back up the table here, and I'll give you my final thoughts on Territory. So Territory, I really like this game. This game is pretty darn cool. I was real worried originally when reading it that it could be a little swingy in there, but it's pretty balanced game, especially when you play with the little starter decks they have at the end there that you can set up, the pre-generated decks. They're pretty well balanced and they're pretty fun. You can do some big attacks, they can do some big attacks, you can gain up the points, and it gets pretty close to the end for each of those plays, which I really appreciate. I also could see where if you want, you can really make some really good decks. You can take the time, look at all the different card pools available, get no more than 3 copies of the regular cards, no more than 1 of the epics per type or per thing, and then play some really cool games. I like how I could see how you can get some really cool synergy with the different cards, really cool sort of effects that can like amplify what you're trying to do. You can do themes. There's just really cool stuff in this game. I like all the different factions. I think there's 5 factions in there. The red faction is my favorite because goblins. I love goblins. So, but there's something in there for everyone. And each of the colors have a different theme to them and have a different feel to them. You can mix and match the colors in your deck, all sorts of different things. And I do like that this is a little bit more straightforward in how you do things than I think than Magic or the other games. It's pretty straightforward in what you do stuff. I also like the mulligan mechanic in the beginning of the game where you draw 10 cards. Just take what you want, don't want, and put it in the bottom of the deck. You don't reshuffle the deck or anything. You just put them on the bottom and you draw up to your 10. So I can really see this game taking off. Like I said, this is an early copy of this game, so some of the things might be subject to change. So that's why I gave like a really high overview, because some of that might change over time, depending on what they find or whatnot. But really love the art in this game. Really think the iconography is done really well. Really like those mats and how the cloth mats. And I don't mind those dice that track health too. That's fine. And they give you a good stack of dice in here to do that. So overall, really great game. I'm really looking forward to eventually just making my own decks with it and playing it. Right now I just use the pre-made decks a couple times, but I can definitely see the fun in making my own decks, because I used to love doing it for Magic the Gathering, and I think I'll love doing it for this. So that's my thoughts on Territory. Thank you for watching.